Greetings from Kelowna in Canada. My name's James Cridland. I'm a radio futurologist, and this is Radioland, my international radio trends newsletter from radioland.email. And this podcast is sponsored by RSS.com. If you've heard ads in this podcast, RSS.com are producing those, and they make me money. Hooray! The good news is you can now get rid of them as well. Hooray! If you're using Apple Podcasts, you can follow the link to become a supporter and listen ad-free. And thank you to RSS.com for their support. Attentive readers of the newsletter, hello both of you, will remember that I've been asking the ACMA, the Australian media regulator, for an FOI request of ARN's thoughts regarding the proposed licence conditions they placed on KISS in Sydney and Melbourne after the potty-mouthed Kyle Sandilands said things. Surprisingly, they've done it. We've got a long 8-page letter to take a look through from ARN, which contains a number of interesting defences, including one that their audience thought that potty-mouthed talk was okay, and that's all that matters. Luckily for me, the good folk of Mumbrella have read it all for me and extracted some of ARN's responses. I'll link to that today from my newsletter. Last week, I was a guest on ABC Radio Queensland, the statewide programming carried by local radio across Queensland. But just before the vocals of the song kicked in, a locally inserted ident for ABC Radio's Sunshine Coast. Finally, after so long, it's so great to hear local idents to help listeners properly credit their local ABC station. I gather they're using RCS Zeta. Hurrah for RCS Zeta, who are sponsors of the newsletter version of this podcast. Tune Tracker Systems have launched an audio logger. The twist is it runs on a Mac. I know. Still, if you've got lots of Macs hanging around in your station, you might want that. Hubbard Radio has rebranded to Drop the Radio. This repositioning doesn't speak to or prioritise any of our businesses over one another, said CEO Ginny Hubbard. We are not radio, podcast or digital first. At Hubbard, we are listener and customer first, regardless of how they engage with our content or which medium or platform best meets the needs of our clients. Brilliant. Yes, more of this. Good to see both the UK's Radio Centre and Australia's Commercial Radio and Audio working together for a presentation in Cannes later this month. Mark Ritson is an excellent speaker, although I do wonder what happened to the World Radio Alliance. Isn't this the sort of event that they should be at? In Australia, Nine Entertainment's website has been redesigned, something that's quite smart on it. Story images are animated where it makes sense to do so, which makes so much sense. I'm surprised that I've not seen other media outlets doing this, oddly as GIFs, but that's a different conversation. I mean, surely, the BBC, for example, would put animated story images on there. That would make a load of sense. On that new website, by the way, an interview with comedian Dave Hughes, talking about how the radio industry has changed. He, of course, used to be on the radio. Congratulations to the winners of the AAAs, the Australian Audio Awards, and surprising not that many people, especially not me, the planned merger between SiriusXM and iHeartMedia is not going ahead. It was never even planned, in fact. That's according to the New York Times. No surprise there. But one would assume that will kick some of their excellent people and shareholders into action in some way, shape or form. You might be thinking, James, you appear to have slowed down. That's because I'm busy finding a copy of my newsletter so that I can finish it with all of the guff at the end, which includes, where am I speaking next? Well, I am speaking at Forward, the Western Canada Media Conference. It's here in Kelowna, and it's tomorrow. I will be there talking about the future of audio. If you're listening to this podcast and you're in Kelowna, then frankly, you should be doing other things. I'm also speaking at Radio Days Asia in Jakarta in Indonesia, which is an excellent event. Very much looking forward to that. RadioDaysAsia.com for tickets, and Podcast Movement in New York City. I'm hoping to be speaking at that. Who knows? We'll find out soon enough. I think I've got a meeting next week. Anyway, podcastmovement.com to find out more on that too. Thank you to the many supporters of this newsletter, including Radio.co, Admaster, admaster.info is the email address. No, it's not. It's the website address for them. Radio Zeit, Soma FM, thank you, Rusty, and Media Realm, as well as Dafrith Furnham, Marty from New York, Gavin Watson, Greg Strassel, Sam Phelps, Richard Hilton, Emma Gibbs, Jocelyn Abbey, and James Masterton for being regular supporters. If you would like to support my work in any way, then you can buy me a coffee. Buymeacoffee.com/James Cridland is a place to become a member, to give regularly. Hint. Or just give a one-off coffee or 5. You can do that there. If you want to, then you can get this newsletter in your email as well. radioland.email is where to go for that. And my website has more details about who I am, what I do, and whether I can help you further. That is at james.cridland.net. And until next time, keep listening.